Hey folks, what's going on? Welcome back to the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network here at Friendom Week from the podcast network and our good friends over at Rebel Cause Lancaster. And of course, sitting across from me, breaking down all of the Day 5 festivities is Mr. Kaden Stetler himself. Kaden, how's it going?
It's going great, man. We had a good day 5 of Friendom Week with a very anticlimactic solo merchandise release today. Uh,
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm sure we will talk about it on another episode because that is obviously not the focus tonight. But yes, I know you didn't find pretty much anything. I found all the figures and stuff, but it was just kind of I don't know. There was no hype around it. There was no build up or like Target normally does coupons and you spend $50 or more, stuff like that. There was really nothing today. And it was strange. This is the first toy release where it was just kind of like, oh yeah, here's the toys. There you go.
The hashtag Friendom had a lot more to it than the solo toy release items today. I had a feeling, and across social media, a lot of people were using the hashtag. There was a lot of people on Facebook too, which it took me by surprise. Across these first 5 days here, of course, heading into the weekend, the final stretch of Friendom Week. A lot of people sharing out different aspects of their friendom. A lot of people breaking down, and tagging people, showing them, yeah, you know what? There's other people within the friendom that are also having a hard time not only finding solo merchandise, but are also trying to find other connections within the Star Wars universe and connections within this friendom of Star Wars podcasters, even that are worth connecting with. And it's been a fantastic experience overall. Heading into day 5 here, Kaden, let's really get into this because obviously when it comes to the friendom, there has to be a starting place for the friendom, not just overall as founders of podcasts, but of what we do as human beings and being able to make those connections along the way. I'm going to throw it over to you first. Caden, the term friendom is something that kind of is become universal for us. It's something that we came up with in a conversation. And even though the term friendom is used across this week, it did start with the fandom, and that's what kind of built it up from where it is today and where it's going to be going forward. And I want to throw it to you first, and just kind of where did the friendom really build for you? What were the motivating factors for you? And as you're moving forward here, with specifically the term friendom, what is that going to do for you in your maturation as a podcaster?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Basically, what we're gonna do here, guys, is over these next 3 days, the last days of Friendom Week, kind of take a look at past, present, and future. What the just like Robin said, all these aspects of Friendom, and honestly, Robin and I both started just as Star Wars fans. That then decided that we really wanted to voice our opinions on, you know, Star Wars and what mostly the new films definitely inspired us. We both started, like everybody knows, within a day of each other, right after the release of Episode 7, and it's been this crazy experience because I started obviously, like I said, just as a fan, and and then I know you had the same experience, Robin, but I started Rebel Cause and slowly built this momentum into being a voice within the fandom and definitely finding my voice in it. Obviously being one of positivity and unity and really just focusing on the things that we love about the fandom, not the things that maybe we're not such big fans of. And even if we do, have those conversations, um, they're positive. It's not like, oh, I hate this and this is stupid and, all that other stuff. It's really, well, I understand why they did these things. Is it my favorite? No, but, it kind of really focusing on the positive. And, I just plan to keep doing that. That it's brought so much, so many good things our way through having that perspective. And I know you feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, throughout this entire experience, I mean, the idea of, like you said, Caden, in a matter of days, us being a part in terms of creating our respectable podcast and being able to have that brainstorming process of how do we start this thing? How do we get this thing moving? Which people do we want associated with it? And what do we want our focus to be? Um, that has really been a large part of the reflection across Friendom Week for me is just kind of taking a step back and looking at it. Obviously we both celebrated our 2-year anniversaries for our podcast at the beginning of this year, and it's fantastic because as we look back at that first step that we took, it's almost a reminder of, it's not just that moment that kicked it all off, really. Every time you sit down and you brainstorm something, every time you sit down and you record something, every time that you have those experiences with a friend by having conversations with people and with fans, it is a stepping stone for progress. It's a stepping stone for getting, your name out there and getting their name out there as well, because they're having that conversation with you. And as I reflect on it, and as you said, Caden, you said this beautifully. It seems like it's kind of been a cooperative friendom progress building. There's no true words to put to it. It's just been a collaborative project,
Community.
a community that just,
Really, yeah.
yeah, it brings everybody together, and it allows us to brainstorm with each other, and allows us to have that open communication, not just as a fandom, but as a friendom itself. Community is the perfect word to put it. It's as simple as that. And as we continue to reflect on this over the next 3 days and looking at it in different ways, there's so many people that just were those stepping stones along the way. You being one of them for me, Caden, being able to communicate with you and being able to do stuff with Rebel Cause and, of course, Rebel Chatter down there in Pennsylvania has been such a great opportunity overall, not just to connect and being able to add you to the friendom here at the podcast network, but it's always been there. And it was just the opportunity to expose myself as the founder, and to also expose everybody across the network to other podcasters and other like-minded individuals much like yourself. That opportunity does not come around very often, and when it does, it makes an impact. And I think that people need to understand that it's as simple as just either picking up your phone or messaging somebody on Facebook or sending that DM on Twitter and saying, hey, I really want to talk to you about something that I'm really passionate about.
Oh yeah, man, and I appreciate that, Robin, and I feel the exact same way about getting to know everybody at Brick City. And guys, we say it all the time on here, but we're really not pulling your leg. Robin and I talk every day throughout the day. It really is. We started as fans of, I guess, each other's work.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then it just evolved very quickly. And that is, that's something I really want to, speak on, is this whole friendom thing. Really came from an episode that you and I did a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about building this, the fact that we have fans. And I had kind of, and you said the same thing. It's kind of weird to say that. Because it's, yes, I guess technically, yes, we have fans of the things we do, but we both felt the same way. And that's that all these people that have, taken to the things we do and love what we do, we just made new friends. And that's where the friendom came from. And honestly, every day of Friendom Week so far, guys, I've done, and Robin as well, but specific, shout outs. And today, it's really kind of mine, anyway, is really just kind of thrown to you guys and everybody that's listening and will listen to this. And it's really all about the fans and the people that really make this possible. Because honestly, we can sit here and say like, oh, I'd be doing this whether or not anybody listened ever, but it makes it a lot better that people do listen. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And we have conversations that way. It's just not me and Robin alone and on our streams or podcasts just talking to each other. As great as that would be, we love that there are other people that are just as passionate as we are about all this. I meet new people every day almost that have a similar passion and really take to the things we do because it's something that so many people can relate to. And as much as I love being really, besides the 501st and the Mercs and some gaming clubs, being the only Star Wars group in my area, I would always welcome more. You know what I mean? Because it's just community building. And that's a great thing. And that's why, I had to outsource to New Hampshire and get friends up there, and that's just kind of how that went. But it's been a crazy experience. And, I really just want to thank everybody that has supported everything we do and really made it, I guess, more worth doing because, having these conversations with people is one of the main things I love about this. And not only that, but, making these awesome friends. Every single person that has ever, contacted me about whether, and again, contact me or Robin, obviously, about being on the shows. Don't ever hesitate. I've heard some rumblings recently. People, they want to get their voice out there, but they don't feel like they can or know how. Message me on Facebook. And it might not be next week, it might not be next month, but I will get you on the show. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to come on and just tell your story because we have the awesome opportunity of having some really cool people on the podcast. And that's not just people associated with the films. We've had really cool, everybody that's been on our show is cool, obviously, but really cool people that just come on and tell their story about how they love Star Wars because it affects everybody differently. And that's always what I love to hear, besides everybody's Snoke theory or, who raised parents are theory and all that good stuff. I love to hear about how you love Star Wars and how it affects your life. That's just one of the things that has always been so magical to me.
You've been able to, Kaden, and we've been able to do that here at the Podcast Network. And I'm going to say it right now. I think that one of the biggest things that I continue to look back on is that when you were doing Rebel Chatter and still do that across many different occasions with your dad, which has been one of my favorites and was my go-to for a while now, before we even started communicating, you were allowing people to do their Star Wars story. You were giving them the opportunity to come on and express their love for Star Wars. And we were doing the same at the Podcast Network with Talking Star Wars. And I was having people sit down. We've had the pleasure of having Xena Duncan, Amy Wishman-Nayland, and the Imperial Talker himself, Mr. Jeff Cagle, and a lot of people associated with the friendom to come on and share their Star Wars story. And that is what drives conversation. That's what drove Rebel Cause and Brick City to really come together because those opportunities were being made along the way. And I say this to Kaden all the time, and I'm telling everybody now, is that through those cooperative, I guess you could say, ideas, and through a lot of the things that we discuss about consistently, we're creating fresh new things for the fans or the friends of ours that really are looking for unique Star Wars content. And we want you to be part of that process. You are the ones who are taking in everything that we speak about. You are the ones that are taking in the content every single time you hit subscribe, rate, share, it doesn't matter. Or even just that simple play button on Google Play. You are the ones that are taking in all that content. And much like when we go to see a Star Wars movie and we pay the money and we sit down and we break it down, we want you, the fans, to be able to have that same opportunity with the content that we put out. Take a seat, hit the play button, and let us know what you think, because That's what brings the friendom closer and closer, is the honesty and the opinions and the positivity that's even associated with anything that you guys are able to push forward. And Caden and I really appreciate that. And it's really something that we think about every single day, is how can we get you, the friendom, to share your voice, to share your opinion, because guess what? It counts. And when it counts, we don't ever take that away. And we want it to shine bright.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. I really just urge people to get involved with what we do because I love hearing other people's perspectives. And again, yes, like you said, just thank you everybody who has even liked a post or shared a post or whatever you've done, or even just enjoyed, what we talk about, because that is really what makes it all worth it and really propels this friendom even further forward.
And we cannot say it enough. We have to also thank all the other Star Wars podcasts out there. I know that
Yes.
we don't do it enough here at the Podcast Network, and it's something I really wanted to focus on at the conclusion of this Day 5 wrap-up. There are so many fantastic Star Wars podcasts out there. Starbecue podcast, obviously on my end, Rebel Chatter is always one of those top ones. Not because you guys are associated with the network, but because you guys were there when we were obviously starting this whole thing up. We were simultaneous in many ways. Unmistakably Star Wars is another fantastic one. San Diego Sabres, another fantastic one. Mr. Steve Kirk. Also, Blast Points, Hyperspace Pod Blast. There's Bright Tree Radio. I mean, there's just so many I could go through that I listen to on a consistent basis that deserve more than what is given to them. And
Oh, absolutely.
here at the Podcast Network, I cannot say it enough. It is because of you and because of the community and the positivity that you give and you showcase across social media that we are able to do what we do best, and that you are able to do what you do best. And we're forever grateful for that in so many different ways.
Oh, absolutely, man. And on the note of shout outs, like I said, Starbecue podcast, love those guys. Star Wars 7x7, Alan Voivod, I love this new show.
Mr.
Less than 12 parsecs with Tim McMahon. I got to do one show with Alan, or no, yeah, not Alan, Tim McMahon. Sorry, I got to do one show with Tim. Alan, I do want you on the show. FYI, we've talked before, but I'll get back to you soon. And I had a great time with Tim. We did this awesome little fan film breakdown, and that really I love. And here's the thing: my best friends now are other podcasters.
Yes.
It's really true because we all do the same thing, and we can talk about everything that we just relate on all these different levels, and it's crazy. And I love that I get the opportunity just to sit down and do cool guest spots like that on Less Than 12. And I get to sit down and have literally, not kidding, 3.5 hour podcasts with Starbecue. We've done things like that, and it was crazy. And I got to shout out someone who's actually not a podcaster yet. Steven Tillman, I'm talking to you, buddy, the Star Wars guru himself, has been a great friend. He found us, or I found him like really early on, and just started talking to him. And now he's the type that we're friends enough that I have his cell phone number. I just call him up, like, hey, what's up? What's going on, man? Let's talk about whatever. Actually, the first person before you, Robin, let me point out, that called me after episode 8. I think you were still in the theater, actually.
I have no response for that, but that's fine.
We definitely talked moments after I talked to Steven. But it's crazy. And, Steven has graced me with his presence of being on my show several times and, some of the live streams and whatnot. But, yeah, it's just kind of just our shout out to the whole community tonight, guys. And we want to let you guys know how much we appreciate all of you and with every aspect of it. Because honestly, like, this is what we do. So I couldn't really picture not being able to do it. And all you awesome people is what makes it possible.
There's one last message I want to share before we call this thing a wrap, Caden, and it's something that is not necessarily associated with Friendom Week, but it kind of works its way into this, and is a conversation that we've had for quite some time. And it's not something I discussed with you before heading into this, but I wanted to throw it in here. And it's a very simple message from myself, and I'm sure you may agree with me, you may not. We'll find out. But I have become much more aware over Friendom Week, and even since the release of The Force Awakens, that a positive message is something that carries itself throughout life, and not necessarily through podcasts, not necessarily through a voice, and not necessarily through DNA structure. You could even take it as far down as that. Positivity is something that you learn over time. It's not something that's embedded in you. And across this time being a Star Wars podcaster, one thing that I have noticed, and it's something that has disturbed me for quite some time, is that social media has become such a platform for negativity in certain ways. And some people use it just for that format. And my words to podcasters and to members of the community who really want to become part of the friendom is very simple. Cut it out. Take a step back. Yeah. Breathe. Because guess what? Here at the Podcast Network, the positivity is never going to stop.
No, absolutely not. I completely agree with that.
You can say what you want about how people approach positivity, and you can say what you would like about how we approach things. And guess what? The friendom never dies in that case. It's like the Force. The Force never goes away. You can cut yourself off from it, but it is always existing in nature. And positivity follows that same exact path. And it's just a little bit of a wake-up call and just something I wanted to express.
To say that the light goes out with the end of our podcast is vanity. And the light will go on. Yeah, man, I completely agree with that. And I couldn't have said it any better myself, honestly. Yeah, I have nothing to really add because you hit it on the head, man.
Beautiful.
And it's just been great that we've been able to project this positivity into the community. And I think the cool thing right now is that we've really been noticing it recently. You know, the things that this whole Friendom Week thing.
Yeah.
You know, telling a couple people about it, and then we have all these people doing all these awesome tags of people on Facebook and giving shout outs and sending love to people, and it's been fantastic. And it's just the power of this friendom. It really is. Stuff like that, and the fact that a week from today you'll probably be sitting right next to me on my couch right here, and just crazy stuff like that. It's a crazy world, and I really urge people just to get involved with it. It's the most fun I've ever had in my entire life, and honestly, I think I can say that through doing Rebel Cause and the podcast, it's really made me a better person. Not that I was a bad person or anything, but I'm more conscious now. Just kind of in tune with a lot of different things, and it's brought a lot of peace to me to be able to just talk and share these experiences with everybody. But I won't ramble on too far past that tonight. That's for another time. Probably one of our Jedi Code series, which more are coming soon, guys. I swear.
Yeah, there's a ton more, folks. You better prepare yourselves. Possibly even right around the corner here, you're going to see even more from Kaden and I with the Jedi Code series. So much more on the horizon here at the Podcast Network and over there at Rebel Cause in Lancaster. Just remember, folks, stay positive, keep that message flowing, and join in on the unity that brings the community together. Kaden, we're at that point of whatever we do here at the Podcast Network. It's a little thing we like to call
plug time.
That's right. Mr. Kaden Stetler, where can the good people find you across social media?
Yeah, feel free to send me those friend requests on my personal page, which is Kaden Patrick. And then you can find Rebel Cause at Rebel Cause Lancaster on Facebook and Instagram under that same name. You can find our podcast, Rebel Chatter, at Rebel Chatter HQ on Twitter, rebelchatter.com, and of course on iTunes and all those other great podcasting apps all across the galaxy. And On April 22nd, you can find us at Farbo Co. at 147 East King Street in Lancaster with this guy here, Robin Vogt, and of course, James Brown from the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network. And I want to tease a little something real quick before you do your plugs. Even if you're not going to be at the event, pay attention that weekend, because just pay attention. There's some things, just pay attention to it, all right? Am I right? Am I wrong, Robin?
You're right. I would highly recommend those of you who may need reading glasses or any kind of enhancements to your senses to please go out and go to the dollar store, get those readers, get everything else needed, because you're going to be reading some headlines here from the podcast network and of course from Rebel Cause very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled over there on social media. You might see something that you are not expecting. So you guys can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Vote Tweets. Please make sure to head on over there at the same point and follow the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network at Brick City SWPC. Also, make sure to follow all my tomfoolery and positivity on Instagram at The Official Vote. You can follow the Brick City Blockade over there as well at Brick City Blockade. You know the spiel. Head on over to iTunes, all those fantastic podcasting apps. Rate, subscribe, share with the friendom, because those conversations are forever pushing us forward. Also, please make sure to head on over to TeePublic. Make sure to pick up one of those fantastic BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network t-shirts that are available right now. Lots of fantastic designs. Also at www.brickcityblockade.com, where all your Star Wars news and all your insider information in terms of what's happening at the network can be found. Thank you guys so much for listening to a little bit of this breakdown of Day 5 here from Friendom Week at the Podcast Network. Keep that unity in the community. Keep that positive message flowing. And remember, breathe. Just breathe. And as we always say, may the Force be with you.
Always.